All right, so this is not the Weekly Inconvenience, but it is the host of the Weekly Inconvenience in the building today.
So, welcome to the first episode of Gage Your Health. I'm Slippy,
That's what we're calling it, Gage Your Health. I'm Nelso.
Nelso, and this is Gage. We got Shark behind the ones and twos.
Guess that's
So, this is going to be a more serious podcast if you're
Little bit
familiar
different.
with a lot of obviously the Drunk Gamblers works. A little bit more lighthearted, but this is a topic I think that resonates with a lot of people, especially people our age. So, like I'm 25, Gage, you're
23.
23. So,
yeah, I'm 26.
it's something I think I see a lot of younger people in general, and whether that's boomers calling us pussies or whatever it is. But mental health is definitely a thing, and I think it's something a lot of people struggle with. Whether it's any of us in this room, which is why I think we wanted to start this podcast. Now, Gage, you have a very interesting story with kind of your mental health.
Yeah, this goes back a little bit of a way. This goes back to like high school and all, but obviously that's not the complete detailed story that you need right now. But the gist of it is, I got really bad into drugs and stuff, which didn't help my mental health, and then I ended up trying to commit suicide and ended up in the psych ward, which is what many of these stories are going to actually encompass, which is the best part of the entire thing was the psych ward experience. It was hilarious.
It was excited for the psych ward.
Honestly, it was some of the funniest things I could ever remember, if I could remember half of it. Or I would definitely write a book over it, in all honesty. But
Well, this is it'll be like an audiobook, and you can use this as a reference. To
Exactly.
Go
Yeah,
back
you
and
go
write
back
your
and
book.
show
take
it to your
the
kids.
Honestly-
Honestly, how fucked up I am.
that's fine. No.
So, I mean, I didn't realize you had a drug problem like that. How old were you when you started having a drug problem?
Well, I first started obviously like smoking weed, stupid stuff, when I was around 12,
Okay.
11 years old, and then it slowly progressed into pills throughout high school, and then once I got to college, cocaine really took over,
Okay.
ecstasy really took over, all that kind of stuff took over, and it kind of gave me a false sense of security in the world with my mental health issues.
So the stuff that people and famous people that we know have been doing in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, you were doing in your teens.
Yes. Oh my God, 110%.
So
Crazy.
now, when did you kind of notice that like you had a mental health problem? So like for me, for example, like I think there was always that sense of like, okay, something's off, and obviously like if you know me, like my personality is very
Very different.
yeah, like I'm
Very
eccentric.
strange.
Yeah, I'm a weird guy. Like, but it's at the end of the day, like, so for me to kind of cope with everything, like I code a lot of it in humor, but that's something I didn't realize I was doing until my later years where it kind of all came to fruition. When for you is kind of like
Right.
your first point where you're like, hey, I think something's off.
So if you want the 100% full story, it really started because my biological father and my mom were both diagnosed with bipolar disorder before I was even born.
Okay.
So it was always a very talked about subject in my household. It was never a taboo subject. It was always, if you're sad, if you are having issues, if you're anxious, if you're having panic attacks, come and talk to us. It is very normal for us. I was prescribed Xanax by the time I was 18 years old.
Right.
So, I mean, probably not the best option for an 18-year-old at that
Mhm.
time. However, got to do what you got to do at that point.
Yeah,
To manage it.
so I
Yeah,
think,
100%.
and that's interesting that you kind of say that, because so I was when I was raised, it wasn't something that was readily talked about. I think
Which it really should be.
Yeah, I wish it was.
And that's kind of why we're doing this.
Yeah,
it really should be. Like this age group, especially. I don't mean to cut you off at all, Slippy,
No,
but it really should be talked about more because a lot of the boomers and stuff are saying, "Oh, this generation's soft, yada yada," but in the all actuality of it, at least in my point of view, it's just becoming more and more seen and more known and more readily accepted, if that's the correct term to use.
we had a good old train coming through. All right, so we let the suicide machine pass the train.
Suicide machine's a nickname for motorcycles.
Welcome to the first episode.
Too far.
Welcome to the first episode.
So I I think the train cut you off, but I think we were onto an interesting kind of thing, and
Oh,
it-
right, the like the awareness of it.
yeah, and so your family was a lot more open with it, where they both your parents were kind of open about bipolar disorder, and obviously that if you struggle with something, you're more
Yes,
aware to it.
and
right?
actually, my dad wasn't even really in the picture. It was really just my mom. I knew my dad had mental health issues. I
Right.
just didn't ever. He left my life pretty early on, so I didn't really get to see that firsthand as an adult or even a young adult. So it was really my mom who kind of brought it to my attention. It was like, hey, if you're feeling these types of ways, maybe you should actually talk to somebody and like try to figure it
Right.
out, and not just kind of wing it, which was what I was doing. That's why I started smoking weed so early. It really helped me out as a young kid, and started doing pills so early. It helped me out as a young kid, and then I started to really realize my issues from there on.
Yeah, and we were also kind of put at the disposition as a child that like marijuana is a really bad thing and that's a drug, and like when you realize that maybe that does help you with your mental health issues, and you also feel guilty about it at the same time.
Oh, see, no, that was the exact opposite actually for
Oh,
me.
okay.
My parents smoke so much pot. It is fucking ridiculous. They smoke more
They
pot
were on
than
the
I do.
cutting edge of medicine.
Honestly, my dad spends probably at least $500 at the dispensary a week. Easily.
Very jealous.
Oh my God. I will send you Snapchats of all the wax containers he gives me every single day. It's crazy.
Just send me some of the wax.
Yeah, no, he's not a big fan of buying for anybody else. But anyway.
Good thing.
Yeah, no, he's a 45-year-old man with, a real career and a family support.
so that's so being that you kind of like discovered this kind of at a young age. So for me, when I was very young, terrible kid. I cannot stress it enough. I was an awful child. So obviously, like, I think at that age, from what I've been told, I think a lot of it seemed to be more like rage based, where so I was the oldest of three, and for
That's
obviously
mine.
the majority of my childhood, the oldest of two, my younger brother. So I always kind of struggled with being like not the center of attention. If you can't,
No, I
I speak
understand
into a
that. I understand
microphone.
that 100%.
So,
That's where
but
this come from.
but so for me, I also struggle with a ton of like social anxiety, and
Yeah.
that's something I didn't realize until I was older. But when I was younger, I was going into counseling, and it was me and my mom would go to counseling, because my mom was for the most part of my childhood, a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah, as
where
mine.
like she was like, this kid fucking sucks. What the fuck is wrong with him?
This
I was
kid needs
there
some
too.
fucking help.
So I was in with psychiatrists at a fairly young age with my mother. I'm gonna be kind of guesstimating here, but I remember it as early as probably sixth grade or so, if not younger.
I was probably around the same age when
Yeah,
I
I
first
was-
started seeing somebody. Yeah,
I'm actually in the same exact boat as you guys. I was seeing a psychiatrist with my mom around that age as well.
it was called a family counselor at the
Yeah,
time.
and that's what it was always phrased
And
as.
it was kind of
me as well.
bullshit. In all honesty, we would play like fucking board games.
Oh, I
and
didn't
shit.
do that.
No,
I
played
would just
board games.
cry.
Oh well, she definitely tried to make me cry, but like at that age,
I'm
I
a
didn't know what the
pussy.
hell was happening. And I was like, yeah, okay, we'll play fucking Clue.
Yeah.
Sounds good
I don't
to
know.
me.
Colonel Mustard in the fucking
And she's like, oh,
laboratory.
so how's your dad? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Yeah, now it's so I mean, I think that's an interesting point, and again, I don't listen to
That is a
ton of-
point that leads into like the whole mental health discussion
Yeah.
about family and parent issues and everything else.
Yeah, but I think it's another interesting thing I kind of pick up from that is that it's kind of that age range, kind of like your prepubescent years,
oh, 110%.
where I don't know if I've heard it. I mean, again, I don't listen to a ton of mental health podcasts,
Right.
I
what-
have
what
just because of the
No,
treatment and therapies
that's
I've
good.
had to do and stuff. Really, a lot of it is kind of self-absorbed bullshit.
Not
I'm not gonna
entertaining.
lie to you. Yeah, it's not that it's not entertaining. It's just kind of this is obvious. Like obviously you should be relaxing, and obviously you should be.
Meditating.
Yeah,
it's not that
Healthy.
easy, as we all know.
It's not that easy at all, but like it's very obvious steps. A lot of it though is finding yourself and finding your own things that help you out.
Right now, so in your younger years, I mean, was it something that you were kind of always keen to? Because so for me, it was something that in retrospect, I'm like, okay, that it's been a problem my whole life. whether it was my like awkwardness, my anxiety, my depression, all of that. But it was something I didn't find to become more comfortable with probably until like college, where I was kind of like, all right, like I'm on my own, like I don't have anything to lean back on, and I was able to kind of look myself in the mirror. And at that time, for me in college, it was like I'm here to party, man. Like
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I dropped out of college. Like I'm in sales now, and I love it because I do enjoy talking to people, but it's one of those things, kind of like in retrospect, over and over again for me. Now, have
Right.
you found it, since it was kind of a lot less taboo for you, whereas for me it almost was, that you were kind of a lot more keen to it, and kind of knew like, hey, I'm masking this, whereas for me it was kind of more like
Oh,
I'm just kind of doing it.
110%. And the thing was, which got me into a lot of trouble, was the fact I wasn't masking it. I didn't care that I was what I was, and I knew what I was, and that kind of gave me another false sense of security, in all honesty, because even though I was out doing these fucked up things every night and, just doing stupid stuff,
Right.
I still was like, oh, well, I know I'm mentally ill.
Yeah, I have this
I have a
scapegoat.
pass. Exactly. Like, Pete Davidson says it a lot, actually, if you've ever watched his SNL bits. He always says, well, I'm mentally ill. It is what it is. So, honestly, that's the kind of life I was living at the time. Since then, I've obviously realized that is not the life you should be living. If you are mentally ill, if you do have issues, you do need to look and try to seek help in some sort.
So, yeah, now I mean that's it. So like for me, like I do it to this day. Like it's something I still do, and it's one of those things almost now where like I acknowledge that I do it, but I'm very socially awkward. I am a lot more comfortable talking into a microphone and on camera where there's not a lot of people around.
You don't have
Where
to
it's
go
like
with the immediate reaction.
Yeah, where it's like that to me, where it's like I go to a bar that's packed, where I'm like,
And you don't feel comfortable there.
yeah, I feel awkward. I don't want to talk to anyone.
Because
I'm
you feel
the
like
guy-
all eyes are on you,
Yeah,
right?
and I'm the guy that like, if say I go to the bar with you and Nelso, and we show up to a bar, and you two are talking to people without me,
You're going to stand in the back.
I'm
and
the
kind
one
of
that
be look
awkwardly
awkwardly,
stands there in the
And-
background.
So am I. But the thing is, there's nothing
Me too.
necessarily wrong with that, though. There really isn't anything wrong with that. Like, it's just
But
the
what
type
do
of
you
person
do?
you are.
You just stand there and stare.
Well, I see. So
you just get drunker.
yeah,
True.
that's I'm the nervous drinker. I'm the guy. I always
Yeah.
need a cigarette in my
Yep.
hand or a beer in my hand.
We lived together for about a year, Slippy. Yeah, no, me and you were the same.
Yeah, so I think that's something interesting, kind of, because I do think that's something a lot of people do, and I wonder if that's something with people with our mentality, whether it's Shaq or me or you guys, where us people that might struggle with social anxiety, that it's not something that we think is normal, but it is. And that's something I've always kind of found fascinating.
I've struggled with that for most of my, teenage past life. Is I've have a very good group of friends that have always taken care of me. Have always wanted to look at the best for me, whatever, and they have had issues understanding on what my social anxiety is and stuff like that. So it is a very difficult subject to
Absolutely.
broach with other people and to try to explain to other people why you are acting this way, because a lot of people do not understand it, and that's
Right.
kind of a point of why I'm talking about it, is because I want people to understand it. It's not fair that if someone goes out and you're acting a little strange, that
Right.
you're ostracized or
So-
somewhat.
Out of
Good word. That's a
very-
good word.
it's a very good word.
I did go to college, guys, for at least a year. I might have failed out, but I went.
fair enough. So out of curiosity, what does a bad day look like for you?
For me personally, I know it changes with every single human being on this planet. For me personally, I wake up and I start having anxiety attacks and panic attacks as I wake up.
It's
And
like it's immediate like that.
It's
where
immediately like it. I'll have a dream almost that'll set me into an attack, and then I'll wake up from that attack and still feel those repercussions from it, almost with like the heart beating, the heart
Yeah.
palpitations, everything like that.
Believe me, I'm called one of our friends from college literally at 2 a.m. because I thought I was having a heart attack. It was like
Yeah.
my first real panic attack. My heart was pounding. I thought I was going
Can
to
I ask which
die.
friend this is?
It was Gabe.
Father
He's
Gabe,
the
we call
only
him.
person that I knew would be up at 3 a.m.
Father Gabe.
that was Big Jake. I understand.
So I go to the hospital. I got a whole bunch of tests on, blood taken, all this. Like,
Panic
there's
attack, right?
nothing wrong with you. I was like, are you sure? Because I feel like I'm about to die.
And that's a scary feeling. That is when
good.
it's like
No, it is a terrible
you're
feeling.
like, what the fuck is wrong with me? You're like, I don't know. You fucking, I don't know. Go to sleep. It's like,
I don't want to be
I can't.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like I didn't come here on accident. Like,
There's a reason I'm here right now.
yeah. Now, so now as this kind of like culminated throughout your childhood, what was kind of the thing that almost set you off into this, having to go to the psych ward and go seek help and that whole.
So really,
Sorry.
it was when I went away to college. I kind of didn't find my place right away. I didn't meet most of you guys until later on in my first year there. In all honesty, and then
I was already found out.
yeah, no, you were far gone. But irregardless, it kind of. I don't really know how to explain it, but you were saying like how it
Talking to the mic.
you were saying like how it started.
Yeah,
or, like, how it came to be.
and I'll kind of so what was like the tipping point for you? Like maybe not like the
Okay.
exact moment where you were like, okay, this is what's causing me, like, but what was the point where you kind of like maybe even in retrospect where you're like, hey, something like a flip switched, or was it more
Something
of a
when I
slow-
realized like I had like something legitimately wrong that I had to deal with and go
yeah
away for.
yeah.
It really wasn't until my suicide attempt.
Okay.
It was that, and then I woke up in the hospital and I looked up and I saw nurses that happened to go to my high school, and I was like, oh.
That's a sign.
Shit! I was like, they are going to tell everybody I went to high school with. I am going to
Can
be.
I get a new nurse?
Yeah,
or-
like, and they were just like,
Can you
Bloomsburg.
sign this NDA?
They're just the hottest girls from high school. Am I in heaven?
She was not the hottest girl in my high school. She did look like a linebacker.
Yeah, at least she's successful.
But no, it really was then when I realized I had like an actual issue. Up until that point, I thought I was just having fun, kind of being an asshole, doing what I needed to do. But up until then, I had no idea.
Yeah, it was you almost discovered an art of suppressing your issues into turning it to party.
No, 110%.
Yeah.
That is probably the perfect way to describe it. I discovered an art to partying that would take away the feeling of feeling sad or feeling anxious or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, which is probably a tale as old as time, which really.
Oh,
I was just
110%.
gonna say. I mean, that's something you hear
Look at
from
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, Robin Williams.
Gage.
All the all these guys, John Belushi, like you name it. There are these big time actors and celebrities that go the happy-go-lucky guys. Where I think that is something that maybe there's some people out there, and I hope they hear this to some extent, where it's like, are you partying and going nuts?
Are you
because
partying
you're,
to have fun, or are you partying to suppress something
exact-
else?
Because I think that was something, and I dropped out of college because it got to the point where I was not there to learn anymore. I was there to, in my mind at the time, have fun and and everything. But in retrospect, again, and it's I'm happy I've kind of learned as I've gotten older. I mean, it's been Jesus Christ.
5 years.
Five,
Yeah,
5,
it's
6
been about
years.
four
yeah.
or five for me.
Yeah, where I did drop out of college, and it's like looking back at it, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, you were doing all that because you didn't, I wasn't comfortable with myself in some sense, and that's, I think the big thing for me is really my social anxiety. I don't know what it is for you guys, but my depression, my social anxiety are the two things that were kind of always the overwhelming forces, dictating my whole
Your
life.
whole life and every action you
Yeah,
took almost.
Exactly, and that's why I think when we broached the topic of doing a podcast like this, I was very apt to it, and I think it is something that, like we've said, a
It's
lot
important.
of people don't think about, and hopefully this is lighthearted enough where
Oh
some
no, there'll be
some
funny
people
stories coming on. This
will-
this is just the introduction.
yeah will actually like be able to resonate with guys in their 20s willing to kind of talk about this.
I
And
think
that would really be all that I want, is just somebody. If one person gets help from me talking, mission completed.
I'd love to hear that.
You know,
'Cause
that's
really,
all I care about.
That's a huge goal, and honestly, I'm honestly kind of new to depression. Like I have never been depressed in my life. I developed anxiety in college. And depression honestly kind of crept into my life probably within the last year and a half. And
Those things normally do come hand in hand, though, as well.
Yeah, because I was on antidepressants in college for about a year, and I was like, I can't drink. This is shit. Like, I'm not having fun anymore. So I was kind of like, I don't want to drink that much, but I still want to go out with my friends. And like when you go out and it's 11 p.m., you start having anxiety. You know, you got to go.
No,
home.
110%. I've been at the bar millions of times and broke out into anxiety attacks because of the fact that I was drinking in itself, really.
Right, which is a huge. People don't realize that drinking alcohol is a huge cause of anxiety.
Yes, it really, really is. And
makes it a lot worse.
I am drinking right now, but for
We
the
all
most
are.
part,
Full disclosure.
I honestly don't go out and get bombed anymore.
No, I don't either.
There has been legal trouble that has kind of led to that, but
Fair enough.
it also did kind of wake me up to what it really could do. And yeah, I do enjoy a drink here and there, but I'm not going to go out and hit the bars all night long anymore. And I'm only 23, you know what I mean? Like, and I've already realized that.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe more of a deeper discussion I think we can get into later, but kind of more of our like vices. I mean that's something where
Oh, that's definitely a
yeah,
good topic.
I mean I used to drink in excess nonstop.
Mhm.
And it was it's cliche, but like you would wake up and be like, oh, like what stupid thing did I do last night? And that like that's real. Yeah, that,
110% real.
That's real. And I think whether it's drinking, gambling, drugs, whatever, I think everyone does something to help with that that pain, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's something
that
a crutch.
everyone feels. Yeah,
Everyone tries to find
and,
a crutch.
and I think the misconception for a lot of people that might not struggle with mental health is the fact that pain or that escape for you is very different from people that do struggle with mental health, and that is a wavering scale.
Yeah,
and that's not to say that what I'm dealing with or what Nelso's dealing with or what Shark's dealing with or what you're dealing with is something that's oh, mine's worse than yours, or it's not
That's
a pissing
it's not
contest.
it
It's
really isn't.
not.
No, it
Well,
really
I tried to
isn't.
kill myself, so you're a pussy.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you did it.
Oh, did your rope break? Ooh.
So I'm not broke. I can't afford to go to rope.
Yeah. Have you seen this bungee cord?
But no, that is something that really you can't measure against another human being.
Of course.
You can't. Everybody has their own shit to go through, and
Everybody's
their own
journey's
stuff.
different, yeah.
Yeah. So that is something that it's tougher to talk to other people about because not everybody understands your own personal stuff. Like
Right.
we've all been friends for a while. I don't understand all your guys' personal going-ons.
Yeah,
And
we haven't
everyone
talked about
goes
it.
No,
different-
you guys are
Yeah,
some of my
exactly.
best friends. It's like
exactly.
And I guarantee you through this podcast, you guys are going to hear some things.
It's not going to be good. We're setting a really bad precedent right now. We're going to tell some of our deepest, darkest shit that we've never told people before.
If you listen to any of our other shows or content, you're going to look at us like, what the fuck?
These guys really are fucked up.
Yeah.
Now it's all starting to make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I get this.
Hopefully this comes around and helps people though. Open
Yeah.
up more.
Yeah,
about
that
their
is the
lives,
whole
too.
the whole goal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so what I picture here is someone in the car right now listening to this episode being like, I should take my mental health more serious and not
Absolutely.
be scared to talk about it.
Yeah, and you know
Absolutely.
what? That's why I kind of want to bring a lighthearted approach to it because it is a very, very, very serious subject, and it is something that needs to be broached and talked about in a serious way. But a little lightheartedness can go a long way with this. It can kind of show people, it's not all documentaries and medicine. It could be just listening to the right person and hearing the right thing you want to hear.
Yeah, and I
That
mean,
really could be it.
the one thing that really has helped me more than anything is meditation. It's the
Oh no,
complete truth.
110%.
Now, are you like Buddhist, like meditating?
No, there's a specific type of meditation. We can get into it in the future.
Yeah, I think
There's videos on
Yeah,
YouTube
I
about
want
it
to. I
and
do want to
everything.
get into that at a
Yeah,
future
so
episode. But
You get to the point where you set aside 20 minutes a day, 5 to 6 days a week, and you can achieve this type of meditation, which really gives you kind of like a clarity and a calmness.
yeah, and I think that's something that everyone's looking for an escape at the end
Right.
of the day, and I hope this is an escape that can be productive for
Yeah.
people. It's one of those things that I think a lot of people, and again, I can't stress enough, are struggling with these things. And for me, a lot of everything I deal with is helped tremendously by humor. Whether that
Yeah.
humor is considered blue to most people or offensive to most people, but
Wow,
I
wow,
think
wow.
there's a point to what if something's going to make, in my case, make me laugh or make me forget about, what I'm dealing with in that moment, that's huge for me, and I think there's something like that for most people.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the comedian Neil Brennan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote Half Baked with Dave Chappelle.
Absolutely.
He's a very famous guy, but at the same time, he kind of falls in the backdrop of most things because he only wrote and stuff like that.
Is he
Absolutely.
still alive?
He is.
Oh yeah, no.
yes.
Have
Have you ever seen his Netflix special,
Yeah,
3 Mics?
Yeah, 3 Mics. I
That
was
is
just gonna say, yep.
something that I highly implore anybody that is struggling with mental illness to watch because it kind of does show you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even no matter what. There is something for you. There is a way for you to get better no matter what.
Yeah, and I think that
It also brings lightheartedness to it.
yeah, and I think that looks different. That what you're describing looks different for some people, and I think
110%.
for
Some people
some
don't get
people
it.
like me, like it's humor. For some people, it's meditation. For some people, it's hiking. For some people, it's working out. For whatever that is for some people, I think that varies person
Hopefully,
to
for
person.
some people, it's listening to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully,
That'd be good.
hopefully.
That is the goal too.
So I think that's a good place to leave off. I want to I think I want to try and do this every week.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 episode a week, 2 episodes a week,
That'd be
something
nice.
small.
Yeah, 100%.
So we're gonna get an Instagram made up. I don't know what that is yet.
Instagram, YouTube, we'll get it all set up so
Um,
you guys have
it-
somewhere to see the content.
For the time being, I think I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Well,
You'll see it somewhere. If you're listening to it right now, you found it.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job. Yeah, that's fair. We'll have the RSS feed for it, but we'll cover some topics like discovering your mental health, when you realize there's a problem. We touched on it today. How you're coping with it. How you coped with it wrong. How
And
you
then the juicy
learned.
stories, of course.
Exactly. It's like where at your rock bottom, where you landed.
Where did you realize where you were done?
But your roommate in the psych ward was, who even knows, offering you drugs or whatever.
His name was Aston. He was a very nice man. He did meth. He was very cool, though.
Shout out Aston.
His name was Aston Starr. I don't know if that's his real
Are you
name,
sure
but
he's
if you're
not a porn
listening to
star?
this, no.
Are you
But-
sure? If
Are you
somebody,
sure?
If somebody
sure at all.
types in
Not sure at
Easton
all.
Store online, they're gonna find this person because we shouldn't be giving out.
Sure.
This guy's
Can you
info.
Google
I-
Arston Star
That
for me?
that does not sound like a real name to me. When he
it's
told me
No,
that,
it's a porn star name.
when he told me that name, I was like, nah, that's not real.
Liar?
Please stay away from me.
Got nothing.
Good.
Damn.
All right, we're good. Aston Star.
All right.
Aston.
All right, we'll get more into him in the
There's a-
future.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
It's your show.
Thanks for coming on.
yeah. All right.
Gage, thank you for this.
Of course.
All right. See you guys next week.